Truly. Really and truly. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Sing that. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. After me, Spirit loves me. I know that. Spirit loves me. That's a fact. Yeah. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Yeah. When I'm down, I turn to you. When I'm down, you pull me through. Yeah. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. See?
All alone, feeling broken, I don't know where to go. Got a feeling if I'm willing, Spirit's opening the door, so I'm asking. Passing time while I'm crashing in a last sad gasp of confusion, and it's slow. A little knowing that won't let go. Can't ignore it, and you know I won't, cause it's growing in the open. No more hoping now. Spirit holds my soul and says you gotta let me love you now. You are worthy of this love, so why not let me love you now? You are worthy of this love, yeah.
I surrender every little thing. I surrender. Hear me sing. I wanna hear you sing. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. I'm gonna let Spirit love me now. I am worthy of this love. Worthy. I am worthy of this love. I am worthy of this love. Yes, I'm worthy of this love. Woo!
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am Reverend Bill Marcioni, and just wanted to demonstrate that I have a suit. You won't see it very often, but isn't that nice to know? Welcome to Thursday morning. Big day planned for us today. The banquet is this evening. The talent show is after the banquet. Paul Selig is here with us this morning. Charles Geddes is doing a workshop for us today. There are all sorts of wonderful, important things going on, but the most important thing is that it's Carol Lawson's birthday. As often as not... Go ahead.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol. We love you. Happy birthday to you.
And a big shout out to Melissa and Z, because if I were to say it's Carol's birthday and hadn't cued them ahead of time, then y'all would have sang. And that's not nearly as much fun. Thank you. Thank you for that. So this is the first time that we have done a hybrid conference for ANTN, obviously because of pandemic and travel and all the rest of that stuff. But the fact of the matter is there are 96 people who are getting the emails notifying us that there are events coming on. So yeah, big hand for that. One of the things that for me is really magical about the ANTN conference is that it's a large conference, but it's in smaller form. So we get to get up close and personal. So in previous conferences, we're rubbing elbows with Mitch Horowitz and with Matthew Fox and other noteworthy people. And it's not one of those things where you have to stand in line with 5,000 other people. You can wander around the hall and bump into Mark Anthony Lord and just participate. So that's one of the great things about this conference. And you're going to have an opportunity later today to register early for next year's conference. which is going to be awesome, and we'll have some details about who's going to be there, so we can keep the excitement going. Oh my goodness. Lots of stuff to talk about, but if we do not start with a prayer, then we haven't got a prayer. Our invocation today is Melissa Higginbotham.
So let's go ahead and go into that God space within. You know, if you want to touch your heart and feel the energy there. God is. God is. God is all around us. God is the air we breathe. God is what we eat. God is the trees. God is everyone in this room. God is the faces you look at in the mirror. God is. And in this Godness, I know I am. I am. I am. I know I am. God is. I am Word through my body. I am Word. I am Word. I am Word through my vibration. I am Word. I am Word. I am Word through my knowing of myself as Word. I am Word. I am Word. I am Word. Feel the Word. In the beginning was the Word was God. God is the power of Christ as you. God is the power of Christ as me. God is the power of Christ as all creation. God is. I know I am. I am Word through my body. I am Word. I am Word. I am Word through my vibration. I am Word. I am Word. I am Word through my knowing of myself as Word. I am Word, I am Word, I am Word. And in that knowing of me and you and all creation as Word, as we bring the action of the divine here, I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. And I know how you serve in truth as you radiate the God self within and touch all as you walk the earth. As you walk the dream time, as you just be the most authentic self as you can be. And in that knowing, you are free, you are free, you are free. And in that knowing of freedom, you just naturally walk the steps, or float or fly to the upper octave, the next layer of consciousness that the guides call the upper room. And there we see each other in the upper room. Anton is in the upper room. I see Anton in the upper room. I see all the connections, all of us, hand in hand, all those present and not present, seen and unseen. I see you in your beauty. I see you in your right to be. And I see you in the upper room. And we can truly say, as we see each other and see all creation and lift the earth and all its peoples to the upper room, behold, I make all things new, because we see truly then with the eyes of the Christ. Behold, I make all things new. God is, God is, God is. God is the power of Christ as me, God is. I know I am. business. Be still and know God is.
Thank you, Missy. The special guest this morning with us, Erin Mccabe, is the minister at the Unity Worldwide Chapel. She's also a board member of the Association for Global New Thought, AGENT, or AGNT, and she is here to sing us a prayer, update us on AGENT, and tell you about a series that she's been hosting on Wednesdays at noon, which I've been watching off and on for the last year and a half. And so I'm not going to tell you what she's going to tell you. Erin Mccabe.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me back. It's so good to be back. And it's good to see your eyes. And when I say your eyes, I say your souls and your compassion for the world, because I see that in your eyes that are right before me. So thank you, Martha Creek, for this invitation to come home to you. I feel like this is an important connection that we have, not only a connection with Unity headquarters through Unity Village Chapel, but with AGNT and soul to soul of people in the movement of New Thought, and just acknowledging our coming together. So with that being said, stuff flies out of my mouth, and I'm going to let this fly. That I have a vision that one day we will all come together for a conference. We will do breakout rooms and do whatever business we need to do for one day or however many other days, but we will come together and flourish together and get to just bump up against each other and share our greatest gifts. I say every year, so I'm talking ANTN, I'm talking AGNT, I'm talking CSL, I'm talking Unity, I'm talking all of New Thought. I think we're bolder together. So with that said, would you just breathe in with me for this moment of music? We will amplify our vibration, which you did to me on my way here. As I was driving here, I just started praying. You know, sometimes it just happens, right? And I could tell by what was coming to my mind and coming through my mind that I was coming to meet great minds. You know how that happens? Like, oh, this isn't my regular prayer. There's some ideas here, some thoughts, some words that are just nourishing me in a different way. Am I good, Larry? Can you get that? Can you guys hear that, Emma? Give me this day my daily bread. Forgive me all my trespasses. Lead me not into dismay, but let me pray upon the highest hill. Let me know the beauty of thy will, and from it let me not stray, but deliver me from negativity. Baptize me in your majesty. Christen me with the love that is free. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. When I realize that we are one, and only with these eyes do I see. Thy word is heard from mountains high, and valleys low, through summer skies, in lands of war and lands where there's peace. Te malkuta nekadeshimach tolela hewa hela watesh bukta. From Catholic saints to Hindu names, Buddhist chants through Zen refrains, bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Baruch atah Adonai, Om Shanti El Shaddai, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om. Will you Om with me 3 times? Thank you all. So I am delighted to give you an update, a connection on AG&T. Great greetings from our AG&T Leadership Council on behalf of Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith and Barbara Fields. If you don't know Barbara Fields, she's an amazing woman of light and wonder, and she holds us together and creates as AG&T and our entire council. So I wanted to tell you today about one thing that we started during the pandemic. We looking for a way to come together, and I'm an idea person, I'm a vision person, and if you're around me too long, I might overwhelm you with that. But one of the things that came to mind is getting us all together for these conscious conversations, taking more action in the social justice, restorative justice, helping and supporting the world with applying principle to what's going on around us, the news, politics, everything that is around us, the pandemic. And so we started a broadcast called AG&T Speaks. And at first I just lifted it off to everyone saying, hey, we should all just get on. Everyone take a week. We should all just get on one time and, keep going through the year and do this broadcast. And so graciously, one of my great beloveds on that team said, or you should host it and then have us on. And I said, okay. And it's been one of the greatest gifts for me, because for me, it keeps the conversation going. For me, it keeps us relevant. For me, it serves that desire in me to be a part of co-creating a world that works for all and having a larger conversation. So we have 3 ways to participate. We do it live stream on the AG&T Facebook page every Wednesday at noon Central Time. There is also a Zoom room where you can get up close and personal, so you can register for the Zoom room, and then you can chat back and forth with others. You can pose questions. You can feel like you're right in there. And then on the YouTube channel, we have the AG&T Speaks, all of the archives on the channel. And so you can see who was on, you can see what the conversation was about. And then I want to extend on behalf of myself on AG&T an invitation to you all. If there are conscious conversations being had in your community, people doing incredible work, if you have leaders that you think, oh yeah, you really need to have them on here for a conversation about what's going on in our world today, go ahead and contact Barbara Fields of AG&T, and we'll take a look at that, because we just love sharing what's going well in the world. One of the episodes that we had was with some folks from my congregation. It was actually a day when we had a cancellation in speakers, and we were just meditating on what would be visionary, what would be next, what would be helpful to the people. And one of my congregants has started conversations. It's called Conversations in Black and White. And she started conversations, she's white, with her black neighbor. And, they just, out on the front porch or in the backyard or on a walk said, let's start talking about these issues. Help me grow, help me understand. And then they started recording them, and they call them something like uncomfortable conversations, but it's really fabulous. And so we have them on to talk about what they're doing, so we can help people get in touch with what they can do to make a difference in the world. So I hope that you find that nourishing or choose to check it out. And if there's anything you'd like to contribute to that, let us know, please. And then one of the other passions of my heart is something called Campaign for Consciousness. If you were here the last time I was at one of your conferences, I don't know, did you guys meet last year at all? No, nobody did, right? So I think I was here with you the last time you met. And then I don't know if you noticed, if anyone checked it out, we did those pods and those groups, and you all came up with different visions, and one of those visions was the Campaign for Consciousness for the next year. It was on honoring your elders. So I don't know if anyone in this room was part of that team that came up with honoring your elders, but it's always a divine appointment with Campaign for Consciousness, of course, because we come up with that as the theme, and then what happens right around it was everything that was going on with COVID and in nursing homes. And so I really believe that our power of prayer and our power to come together makes a difference. So I want to share with you this year's Campaign for Consciousness. So if you would take a deep breath with me, and if you choose to just breathe in and know these words. These are the words for this year's Campaign for Consciousness. We believe in the power of communication. How we live our lives sends a message. Our words and our silence speak volumes. Courageously, we practice deep, critical, and curious self-reflection. Through honest inquiry, we inventory how we impact our world. May we be wise, mindful, and aware. May our awareness be the salve that heals. May our lives be of benefit to all. And so it is. So friends, I know I already just chatted for a moment, and I know some of you may have been looking forward to coming to our Sunday services in-house, and you might notice that we're not in-house right now. We are still virtual with everything going on with the Delta in Missouri and the rates. We're still virtual, but our board is actually meeting on Wednesday to look at whether or not we're coming back right away or whether we're going to keep going virtual only for a little while. So if you are here and you were looking forward to that, I do invite you into the Zoom room to meet me in the Zoom room for the live stream. If you don't have your own Sunday morning tasks, which probably most of you do. But if you were planning on being here at the Village, just know that we honor you, and I would love to see you in the Zoom room. And if you are interested in any of the music, we have at Unity Village Chapel, we do have a CD in the bookstore called Voices of the Village, and it is a compilation of music that we've done on Sunday morning and our team's music. And then I have a meditation CD in there as well, and I'll give the one that I have here with me to Martha so she can give it out to someone who wants it today or who gets it today. But I just, again, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of you, and just know that I know that we are all one.
Thank you, Erin. And quick shout out for something that happened to me over the summer. A friend of mine who's a CSL minister has been doing a program called Healing the Divide, getting a congregation together and cross-connecting. And I had been participating in the second version of it, which was earlier in the year. And she partnered up with a Unity minister to do a study on a book on anti-racism based on Buddhism. And she thought it would be great to have an ANTN minister take part as well. So she recruited me, and it didn't work, but I did have Sandy Freed, who's one of the people in our community who's working on that. And Reverend Michelle Wadley is here, so she's actually also the ANTN minister. Talk to her about Healing the Divide. It's actually going into small groups in January, and it's underway now. Really powerful program, very similar to what Erin is talking about. It's about having those uncomfortable conversations and finding out who everybody is. So there's some folks who are always here at the ANTN conference, and this year some of them are not, and so we are going to hear from one who is not here today, but is with us in spirit and has been on Zoom some as well. Here's Uta Maria.
Bright, beautiful, beloved beings of light. Namaste. Isn't technology fabulous? We can meet online. If we don't choose to travel, we can meet online. I really I don't like to miss being with you guys because I love the hugs and the shouts of joy. And when we meet our tribe, when we get to that Unity Hotel and we see somebody we know, we just, it's like, yeah, so nice to see you and all these things. But, we might have to wait till next year for that, to experience that again. I love ANTN because it supports all ministries of all kinds, spirit-led ministries of all kinds. And so we can choose to follow spirit and be accepted in ANTN. So I have been doing ministry mostly at work because our co-workers are having difficulties with being working remote and being stuck at home, and they need support. And so I've been doing a lot of that and reminding them to be grateful, to find something to be grateful for. And that's really what we need to do, to find all the good things and the beautiful flowers and trees and the green out and the birds and everything that is lovely. And so I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity to work from home because it feels really great. I can look out of my window and I can wear my pajamas. And so it's an awesome time. So for ANTN, I've been working on the program as I have been doing. This is my 4th time that I do the program. And so it's really a work of love. We really have a great commitment. We spent many hours preparing for this conference. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen. So have a little look back at the programs we've done and at the program this year, 2021. So here we go. So the first program I participated or that I designed was in 2017. And that one was called Brilliance, and it was my first one. And this is done in Word, and it's got columns. And Kim Yalda gave me the template, and I've been using it ever since. And so it's not an easy thing to do because every time you add a line somewhere, everything scoots down. So we just get to enjoy our creative kind of support, like we find that I find that I'm supported by spirit and that I'm getting these ideas on how to do things. So that was the front, the back. And then the next one was in 2018, which was called Exuberance. And we were really exuberant at that conference. So that's the second page and the back page. And we do this kind of format because it's cost effective to have only one sheet of paper because the price will be just for basically front and back, regardless of the size. So here we are for the Beyond and the Beyond and 2019. And as you can see, I like green. There's always green somewhere in my programs. And we had some fabulous speakers and just, it was always so nice to see everybody and to listen to messages and it's to receive inspiration and beautiful music. And so this year, our conference is 2021, after 2 years of pause. We have actualizing body, mind, and spirit. And we are excited that the program is in your hands. There were many changes, last minute changes. And so we kept on going on to get it done. And so it's now in your hands. And we have wonderful speakers this year too. And guess, the lineup for next year is going to be amazing. So we already have invited Niles Phillips and Bayo Akomolafe. And it's really like it's going to be an interesting focus. And we give you a sneak preview. And the famous Amy Steinberg as the musician. And if anybody of you knows her, I know her, so she's fabulous. She's amazing. And I'm very excited. And I don't want to miss the next conference, no matter what. I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to doing the next program again. So beloved, I'm going to stop sharing here. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the virtual conference. And I send you much love, many hugs and blessings, and see you online. Namaste. Bye. See you.
If any of you have ever been involved in publishing something like that, it is a labor of love, and capitalized labor, all caps, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. The good news is we will be rolling out the identity and the logo and the topic for the 2022 conference this morning. So there's something additional to look forward to. Paul Selig is considered to be one of today's foremost spiritual channels. In 1987, a spiritual experience left him a clairvoyant. Described as a medium for the living, Paul has the unique ability to step into and become the people his clients ask about, often taking on their personalities and physical characteristics as he hears them telepathically. In his breakthrough works of channeled literature, Paul has recorded an extraordinary program for personal and planetary evolution as humankind awakens to its own divine nature. So Paul's presentation was going to be in person. He had to cancel the in-person presentation. I was immediately concerned because he's a channel, and if the spirit guides are saying, don't go to Lee's Summit, Missouri, I wanted to know about it. But it turns out that he's a New Yorker who became a Hawaiian at the beginning of the pandemic, because that's where he was when the lockdowns began, and he is highly concerned that the people in Hawaii would not let him back in. So that's why he didn't come here. So he is joining us by video today in two parts. This is the first part, Paul Selig.
Here we say the all that you are, the all that you are, the collective that you are. The collective that you are is ascending to a new level of agreement, to a new level of agreement when what you have known, where what you have known can be reknown, what you have seen, reseen, what you have seen, reseen, and what you comprehended in a lie, and what you have comprehended in a lie can indeed be made known in truth, can indeed be reknown in truth, reknown in truth. The teaching of the day will continue to be the love that you are, will continue to be the love that you are in transmission for the benefit of the world, for the benefit of your world. And the teaching you receive, and the teaching you receive is the teaching that is required, is the teaching that is required for your own knowing, for your own knowing, to begin to translate one level of experience to another. Notice we said experience. Notice we said experience. It is your experience. It is your experience in a new way that is the proof of this teaching, that is the proof of this teaching, and your recalibration. And your recalibration is all towards this purpose, Now the selfish self says, give it to me the way I say it should be. Give it to me the way I say it should be. But the divine self as you, who knows who she is, what she is, how she serves, who knows who she is, what she is, how she serves, is actually the one calibrating, is actually the one calibrating. Now understand what this means. There is an aspect of you. There is an aspect of you that in fact knows who she is, what he is, how he serves, that holds a template for a higher way of expressing, because the template is held at this level, because the template is held at this level. This is the level that it must be born through, any endeavor you take, any endeavor you take with the divine blueprint, to hammer it into the shape you think it should be, would be a foolish endeavor, because all you have is a best idea, of how things should be perceived, should be perceived from your small self's logic, the template of the divine. The template of the divine is within you. Consequently, the kingdom of heaven, if you wish to call it that, is indeed within you, and its expression through you, and its expression through you calls the manifestation of the kingdom into presence. Now, logic will fail you here. You want to put the bricks in order. You want to lay the foundation. You believe a foundation should be laid. You believe a foundation should be laid. But the foundation of this teaching has never been logic, and it has been a foundation, and it has never been a foundation on this realm. From our first attunement through Paul, I am word through my body, I am word through my body, word I am word, I am with my vision, I am word through my vibration, word I am word, I am word, I'm with myself word, I am word through my knowing of myself as word. We were calling into being, we were calling into being the resurrected self, or the word made flesh, or the word made flesh, the idealization of the word, a crucified man, or the Son of God, who was killed and then risen, become confused for you, because the act of rearticulation, of the resurrection, that the resurrection presupposes is not the resurrection, that you have been taught, the true resurrection. The true resurrection has always been the monad, in a rearticulated state, and it is its radiance, that transforms the world, Supplication to the divine. Supplication to the divine is necessary, yes, but only so you may assume it. You cannot conquer God. Do you hear those words? Nor can you put it in a bottle, to have it do your will, but you can align to it. Because it is indeed your substance, and in rearticulation, the manifest self has become the expression of the divine, that calls into being, all which is of like accord, Now, divinity is not understood either. You perceive it to be a chalice. You perceive it to be a chalice, or a temple, or a perfect garden, where one may meditate, to understand divinity. To understand divinity is to comprehend source, that is in manifestation, as all things, Now we have spoken of all. The totality of God. God is the sea and sky. And your fingertips, the dead body in the road, and the newborn in someone's arms, and the newborn in someone's arms. All things, but to comprehend the divine as all things. But to comprehend the divine as all things means not only can you not exclude anything, means not only can you not exclude anything or anyone or anyone, but it requires you to move. But it requires you to move to a level of comprehension, to a level of comprehension where the artifacts of history, that have been blasphemed, or put outside of God, must now be included. Understand this, friends. Understand this, friends. Everything you see, or even remember, you are in coherence with, and a civilization that has systematically oppressed its fellows, killed for profit, warred against one another, lives in a museum of death, or oppression. It surrounds you always. Because it is in the ethers of your experience, it is in the ethers of your experience and the artifacts of it. And the artifacts of it indeed surround you today. So how is the manifest divine? So how is the manifest divine to translate oppression, to translate blasphemy, How do you comprehend the divine? How do you comprehend the divine in an idea of time? In an idea of time, it has held so much pain, Now, the pain you experience on this plane, is part of your learning, You may learn without pain. But most of you will undergo pain. As part of a lifetime. There is nothing wrong with it. It does not mean you are doing something wrong. It does not mean you are doing something wrong or being punished by something outside the self. But the legacy of pain that is entrenched on this plane, is partially the cause of your own experiences, When you live in a land where no one gets ill, there is no thought of illness. And consequently, it is not present in reality, and consequently, it is not present in the reality, you abide in, that you abide in. The legacy of pain is so entrenched in this field, as if you are moving through water. It is as if you are moving through water that has been tainted by memory, and the self that you are, participatory to what you experience, imbibes it, or is shrouded by it, or is in room to it, or is in agreement to it at a level of co-resonance, which creates expectation, the idea of lifting beyond pain. The idea of lifting beyond pain seems impossible to Paul. Emotional pain, physical pain, whatever you may call it. We wish to attend to something today, but we wish to attend to something today that we have not attended to thus far, which is a cleansing, or reknowing, of historical pain, first through the individual, and then through the collective, or the shared field, or the shared field that humanity knows itself through, that humanity knows it through. Now to re-know yourself beyond historical pain. Now to re-know yourself beyond historical pain is not to pretend, that it never was, is to know it anew. It is to know it anew, to claim it in a higher order, where the very resonance of memory, no longer holds the tincture, of pain, that would inform your experience, To be without this, is indeed to be made new, and each of you says yes to this, and each of you says yes to this at the level of coherence, that you may align to, We are not teaching Paul today. He is interrupting with 1,000 questions. He is interrupting with 1,000 questions. We will continue this lecture. And answer questions after, the legacy of pain. The legacy of pain, historical data that informs your expectations, what you expect to experience, can indeed be cleared, as well as the memory of oppression, the memory of oppression, and indeed the memory of war, You're not erasing the blackboard. You are not erasing the blackboard, saying it never was, These have been your lessons. It's important not to forget them, and it is important not to forget them, but it is important to understand. But it is important to understand that holding a memory in source translates not only the memory, but the act the memory was born through, but the act that the memory was born through. We will say this again. To know the divine. Where the memory was held. Not only translates the memory, but recreates the relationship to the impetus, or event that caused the memory, In other words, friends, you are translating the environment. You are translating the environment that has claimed you in expectations, What does that mean, he asks. What does that mean, he asks? Well, imagine you have a memory of pain, Paul. A persecution, perhaps, that seeks to keep you hiding, from further persecution, You live in limitation. Defiance of the divine, in defiance of the divine, because you believe God cannot be, where that event was, and you've created a signpost, saying, no God here, that you ascribe power to, when you lift to the upper room, while you may not be operating in fear, your indoctrination through history, will still support choice, in opposition to yourself, in opposition to the true self. In other words, the one who was burned in love, scorned in faith, left behind, holds a legacy, that informs behavior, and also creates expectation, that informs interaction, and a view of a world, that is still tainted by the old memory, When we teach today, and we call forth the vibration of the word, and we call forth the vibration of the word, or the energy connection, or the energy of the Creator in action, we will do it at a level of amplitude. We will do it at a level of amplitude that we have not done before, We can claim this now. We can claim this now because the foundation of this teaching, because the foundation of this teaching in the upper room is in coherence, which means you can align here, which means you can align here and work with the octave of the upper room and work with the octave of the upper room, which is what translates the data of history, in the claim, behold, I make all things new. In the claim, behold, I make all things new. Now, reclamation, an imperative understanding, that which has been put outside of God, that which has been put outside of God must now be reknown in God, must now be reknown in God, must be the alignment, the alignment with the present moment, to the present moment where God can be known, Any memory occurs in the present moment, and all time may be known, and all time may be known through this present moment, because the eternal self actually exists beyond the template of time, beyond the template of time. Beyond the template of time means it is not bound through historical data, means it is not bound to historical data. It exists beyond it, and consequently can reclaim anything, and consequently can reclaim anything in higher order. The divine is all things. The divine as all things, inclusive of a memory, inclusive of pain, resurrected, and indeed reknown, Now, the claim we have taught you thus far. God is the claim of full reclamation, is the claim of full reclamation. In other words, friends, when this mandate of truth, is impressed in reality, it reclaims the reality. We'll say this includes memory. And we will say this is inclusive of memory and the true self as you. And the true self as you is the one who will navigate this truth for you, is the one who will navigate this truth for you. Imagine for an instant that you stand in a field, and everything you've ever known and experienced, and everything you have ever known or experienced exists in this field, Your idea of a life lived, or 1,000 lives lived, or 1,000 lives lived, your idea of your own history, your idea of your own history, and your perception of the world's history, and your perception of the world's history. Imagine the divine. Has been excluded from all that you are imagining now. The small self's creations, the painful memories, the trauma you've endured, or the culture has been party to, or the culture has been party to, all existing in this field. Now in this field, the monad is present as well. The monad is present as well as and through you, And you will say these words now very softly, and you will say these words now very softly, so you may know them to be true, so that you may know them to be true. I have come, I have come, I have come. I have come, I have come. Now the divine as you, who is here and is in rearticulation, assuming the being you are, may now speak these words. I am in the upper room. I am in the upper room. Say this now. You will say this now and imagine this world before you. And imagine this world before you, this field of memory, personal and collective, already to be reseen, And you will speak this now, and you will speak this now to this field you stand in, to this field you stand in. Behold, I make all things new. Behold, I make all things new. It will be so. Quiet. God is. And allow this field. And allow this field to be transformed. Again, you may say the words. Behold, I make all things new. God is. And allow the field. And allow the field to be reseen, to be transformed, all things made new. Now the energetic field. Now the energetic field that you are claiming this in, is also the collective, and the individual, and the individual expression of a life lived, You are claiming this both for yourself. You are claiming this both for yourself and all things that may be present, and all things that may be present in a collective field. The creations of history, and we will say this, known and unknown, spoken and unspoken, spoken and unspoken, the mystery of your own histories. The mystery of your own histories eludes you in most ways. You wish to know what happened and when. You wish to know what happened and when. What was the cause of the pain you endured? What was the cause of the pain you endured? And a culture may do the same. And a culture may do the same. And a warring country the same. And a warring country the same. And this claim. And this claim spoken in this truth. Spoken in truth. In this field. In this field will always rearticulate the ideas, the memories, and the manifestation of the memories occurred through, and the manifestation of the memories occurred through in alignment to the upper room, Again, the spoken word. Behold, I make all things new. Behold, I make all things new. God is. Spoken into being, and transformed.
Whew. Take a deep breath. We'll have part 2 of that in just a moment. What I want to talk about is the conference 2022, which is going to be here the last week in September. And in fact, Dave, if you'd go ahead and share the page. Convergence. Love, learn, decide, do. And it's got the dates on there, and it's got the prices, $450 to $600. Please click the register button. The first conference special for ANTN members, $450, and you can see that sales end on October 31st, so you have to buy that one by this weekend. It's for ANTN members only. That one ends for $450, and then the early bird special takes effect, which is $500. Non-members, $550. Oh, and by the way, if you sign up for membership now, then instead of expiring at the end of 2021, it will expire at the end of 2022. So bonus round. So go ahead and take care of all of that stuff today. John Karn is here, who's taking care of that. And we have some fabulous presenters who are going to be on the program next year who are already confirmed. Let's take a look at a video from Niles Phillips.
Hello, my name is Niles Phillips. My friends and colleagues call me the race healer, probably because I've been doing this for so long. My book is Cracking the Healer's Code, a prescription for healing racism and finding wholeness. So what this book does is it takes history, science, research, and puts it all into a program where we can have information that allows us to really connect the dots and put things together so that we can understand what it is exactly that we're dealing with when it comes to race and racism. I have been doing healing racism work for more than 30 years. And in that time, I noticed that there were some patterns in the people who were really taking this work to heart and looking to make a difference in their organizations, in their communities, and within their families. So this is a book about healing. There's a lot of anti-racism work out there, which is different from healing work. Healing requires a completely different set of skills. Healing is about giving people information that leads to transformation and giving them the information so that they can walk through that process, so that they can understand the context within which we are experiencing race in our nation. So what makes this book different is that the approach is an approach of healing, which means that it's about being vulnerable. It's about realizing that we don't know what we don't know. There were things that were happening in the world, there were things that were happening in Europe that actually led to what we now call race and racism. It led to the institutionalization of racism as not just a national issue, but really a global problem. My hope in having people read this book is that they will allow themselves to move through the process of transformation and healing as they read the book. It's so important for people to understand that racism is not the fault of anyone living today. However, it is our collective responsibility to make a difference, to understand what it is that we need to heal from, and to take steps to make that happen so that we leave this world better for the next generation. So the people who actually really get a lot out of this book is pretty much everybody. And I know you've probably heard that before when it comes to books, but really we have all been touched by racism regardless of the color of our skin. The people who will get the most out of this are people who care about the healing of racism. They understand that something's really off and dysfunctional and we need to do something about it. My name is Niles Phillips, also known as the Race Healer, and my book is Cracking the Healer's Code, a prescription for healing racism and finding wholeness.
So Milagros is going to be one of our presenters next year. Dave, I'm calling an audible. Don't click the optimize video button anymore because it makes it smoother but unsynchronizes the audio. You guys didn't need to know that. We're figuring out how to do be a VJ over Zoom as we go along. One of the profound things that I learned last year is that in an environment where there's systemic racism, when two people get together who aren't racist, they're still racist, because the system is. That's the healing that she's talking about. Another one of our presenters is Bayo Akamalafe. Let's watch a video from him. This is actually Martha Creek in an interview.
I don't know that I would say it to all of humanity, because my philosophies resist that kind of capture, resists putting everyone within the same space. If I say the thing I want to say right now to my elders, they probably will slap me upside the head.
Take a chance.
They probably would just sit down. And so my philosophies, or the things that I play with, the ideas and concepts that I play with, invite this or compel me and those who are engaged with it to notice an open-ended world, an emerging world, a world that is never so coherent that it can actually be called a world that is still plain and so playful that it resists a single ideology. But I find that one particular thing that I say often and often rings true for most people that hear it. So that's what I'll say, reframing the question a little bit, that the times are urgent, let us slow down. The times are urgent, let us slow down. What does that mean? I think in these times of civilizational collapse and chaos and the demise of the systems as we know them, we are being invited to touch the vitality and intelligence of the world we thought we had transcended. And that is the work of coming down to earth. That is the work of becoming humble. That is the work of building new and wild coalitions with the soil, with the more than human. That's what slowing down means to me. And that's the invitation I would put out there for those who can receive it.
Beautiful. And thank you for saying it, because after I listened to you and some of the things that where you've presented in various places with interviews and up in Victoria and around, and I heard you say in that this is your belief and that I bow to that, I honor that. I also heard you say you can't say it too much anymore because your wife is rolling her eyes at it now when you say
yes, her eyes are now permanently stuck behind her head because because she's heard me say it too much. Yeah.
And it means a lot to me. So the way you speak about the resonance of that it's like, it's some of the scripture refers to this, it's closer than our hands and our feet and other things. Like it's not where we're looking, it's where we have looked. It's not where it's where we've spent a lot of time and energy out here trying to go higher, 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 instead of like, we can only go as high as we've gone low, so to speak.
Right.
It's very, very helpful for me to hear that, how you present that today. I also loved listening with you and your analogies of, and it sounded like, I don't know for sure, so I'd love you to speak about that, like this caution about this hyperactivism, this jacked up kind of activism that some of us have slipped off in, and your cautions about that, which is my sense of it. And I didn't have words for it till I listened to you and heard you. So will you speak about that today? For some of us do-gooders and trying to do good and in the name of activism, speak about your concerns about that and what you see that could be problematic.
I come from a world that is tired of goodness, right? I forget the author who named it the apartheid of the good. We have been the recipients in the world I come from, which is West Africa and Nigeria, the Yoruba people. We have been the recipient of Euro-American benevolence for so long. And this comes in form of good intentions and funding and sometimes structural readjustment programs and economic policies. And all of this tends to reinforce a certain world, a certain idea and its troubles. So it has perpetuated a colonial interruption of our own worlds. Not that I resist interventions, but there are always risks when encounters are made. and it has come out to this. So I think in this world, I grew up noticing, and I'm not the only one, people in my generation and a generation before me noticed that activism was increasingly part of the system that it tried to change. That is, in spite of our, best intentions, in spite of our best blueprints and ways of working, we never act alone. We act within and with more than human territories. The Bible sometimes calls it principalities and powers, right? Our fight is not against demons and all of that. It's about territories, rhizomatic networks of becoming. And so that is the sense that inspires me, or the idea that inspires what I call post-activism. And the notion here is, if we started to notice not the activist as a unit of activism, but territories as activism, if we glanced at fields in how they work things, then we would notice that our best intentions are not the cure. Our goodness is not what counts here. I mean, it matters, but put against larger frameworks, bodies might drown that out. So the idea here is then, how do we notice the worlds that we're already reenacting, even with our best intentions? How do we notice the things we're already doing, instead of asking, what do I do about this? So post-activism is about coming to touch how we become responsible, how we respond to crisis. And it's about building new coalitions, new ways of acting. And this takes time. It's difficult, but it's about hacking the formulaic algorithms that frame our behavior.
I've been through the desert.
So there will be a lot to think about, a lot to connect on, a lot to deepen into at Convergence. Love, learn, decide, do. We're also going to have some fun. Our music director is going to be Amy Steinberg, who is awesome. And she's bringing the word "and," because it's going to be Amy Steinberg and others doing the music for next year. Let's take a listen to Amy.
I've been through the desert. I walked in the ocean. I've climbed up a mountain, and I've sang in the wind. I've cried out in the moonlight. I've drank that potion. I've wished in the fountain, and I've lived in sin. Hallelujah. I keep searching for an answer that completes. But every time I think that I found it, the ground shifts under my feet. What I know is every moment is a blessing. What I know is every moment is a blessing. Yeah. Every love is like a light. The beauty comes with every sunrise. And living is the purpose, living is the purpose, living is the purpose. Living is the purpose of life. Is a wonder. It's true.
And she'll also do some up-tempo songs. So you saw the logo, you saw the registration page, and now you're wondering, ooh, how do I sign up? How do I register for this? Well, you've been getting emails on a regular basis telling you about when the sessions are starting and so forth, and beginning with the next email you're getting, there's a registration link in there as well. So you can get onto the registration page and you can sign up. And by the way, if you're one of those people who's not a member of ANTN, you're kind of thinking, maybe I'm going to do that. You know you're going to come to the conference, but you're not going to get around to registering until after the deadline. You can actually become a member now and get the conference, and it's going to cost the same as it would cost just to wait and not be a member. And you get to be a member of ANTN for the entire year. Did I need to say something, Martha Creek?
Not about that.
Okay. We're talking about whether we wanted to see more Paul Selig or take a longer break. If you don't want to see Paul Selig, then go ahead and take a break right now. I will make the announcements that we'll do at the end of Paul Selig at this time, because, yeah, he is pretty intense.
Let's just take a 10-minute break and then just do it. Can we do that? They're urgent for a break now, it sounds like.
Yeah, let me go over the announcements that I wanted to make. The late morning workshop, and then we're going to take a break right after the announcements. Charles Geddes at 11 o'clock. The Emerson graduation in this very room this afternoon at 4. The banquet is this evening. Make sure that you're there for the banquet. We're giving away all sorts of stuff at the banquet. So what you want to do is make sure that you bring your raffle tickets, because we're going to be raffling things off. You also want to turn in your bingo page, where you've identified the people who make up with your bingo. There are a couple of names that are missing on here. The biggest one is yours. Make sure you write your name on this, because we're going to be having the winner drawn in a raffle. This is the conference registration or evaluation form. Fill that out, please. Either turn it in at lunchtime today or at the banquet. We are going to be drawing one of these tomorrow for free conference registration for 2022. You do not need to be present when we draw it tomorrow morning, but you do need to make sure that these get into us. And if you're concerned that you haven't seen all of the sessions at the conference, you can just kind of wing it with that. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to do the second session of Paul Selig. Question in the back?
Question, are the videos possibly going to be available after the conference that we can view them again later or not?
Everything is being recorded. They will be made available. We haven't figured out the mechanism and schedule for that yet. Okay. So we are going to take a 10-minute break, and ANTN board members, at the beginning of the break, come up to the front corner. We're going to do a board member picture. Let's take 10, then we're going to do Paul, another quick break, and then into Charles' workshop.